appreciate it. As Jill said, I'm Sandi Soliday. I'm the coordinator of the Alameda County Developmental Disabilities Council. It's a program and policy planning unit within the Public Health Department. I'm going to take a little left turn right now and tell you that I wholeheartedly agree with Gabriel that I think change can happen at a city and county level. How many people here are Alameda County residents? Raise your hands. Okay, quickly, get out a pen. We don't have much time. I want you to call Dr. Muntu Davis. He's the public health director and the medical officer, a wonderful man, and I want you to tell him that it is imperative that the Alameda County Public Health Department collect data on autism and disability issues. 510-267-8000. Again, 510-267-8000. If you do that, today you've participated in positive public policy change. I've been tasked with giving you a snapshot of the landscape and the critical need to expand services. I think you have an understanding of that landscape. We have an 85 to 92% unemployment rate for adults with autism and IDD. An SSI payment, supplemental security income, is $854 a month and comes with an antiquated asset limit and income disregards that translate into institutionalized poverty. Regional center services cannot meet the need or honor the entitlement. They are, as described in the February 2015 ARCA report, on the brink of collapse. As Jill mentioned this morning, the adult autism population is exploding. It is expected to double in the next 5 years, triple in the next 10. Locally, in Alameda County, since 1990, the rate of DDS autism cases has increased 1,503%. In Contra Costa, it's increased 1,732%. And here in Santa Clara County, since 1990, the rate of DDS autism cases has increased 2,144%. We need programs now, not in the future, not soon, but now. And we need programs that support and serve all levels of ability and functional needs. As family members, you're here today because you want programs that lead to productive, inclusive community living for your children. I painted a pretty bleak future, but there are solutions. You've heard and you will hear about some of the best, most innovative programs today. Programs that are successful in providing quality services to the individuals they serve. Another positive in the landscape are the new initiatives on the horizon. WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, AB 86, and Employment First, a policy that establishes employment as the first priority and preferred outcome for young adults. I cannot overemphasize the need for us to come together as a community and as a society to create these opportunities for our children. Every parent here, to use a word coined by my friend Tom Hines, has the opportunity to be a parent champion. Every one of you meet challenges every day, and every day you are parent champions. I call on you to look within your own companies and employers for opportunities for your children. I call on you to contact your state legislators, tell them about your situation and challenges, and keep up the pressure. And I call on you to bear great pressure on school districts to create meaningful transition programs. It is critically important for you to begin this journey now. We'll start today by introducing the first of our panelists, Mark Jackson and Chanel Ruiz-Brico, Extraordinary Adventures.
Yeah. I'm not going to read our mission statement. Here's what we do. Yeah, we are about jobs, and we're about paying people for jobs. But as a nonprofit, we have to have a nice mission statement to put on our website and our letterhead. So we take a very direct approach to the problem. of employment. We're not a vendor agency. We're a nonprofit agency that develops and starts nonprofit businesses. We do get involved moderately in training and vocational, but our primarily emphasis is on jobs and businesses. I was speaking at a conference down in Los Angeles a couple years ago. I was fortunate to meet the folks that started Extraordinary Ventures in North Carolina, and the proverbial light bulb went off in my head when they were on stage, and I don't think the speaker had gotten 5 steps off the stage before I grabbed him and said, "We need that here in California." And 2 years later, we are the first affiliate for the North Carolina operation that is attempting to expand across the country, but in a diligent way. We differentiate ourselves by, we really rely on young, recent college graduates, preferably with a business degree, to run and manage businesses. We focus on this as a business. You show up, you get paid, there's a time clock, there's everything involved in it. We're 4 blocks from downtown Sonoma, so we're right in the center of town and part of the community. Couple quick asides, there is no greater joy that we've had in the first few months we've been operating. The first thing is to watch our new employees come in and clock in. We have a card system where you swipe your card and their name pops up on a screen. And even for the employees that are nonverbal, that recognize their name, their eyes light up. And just 2 weeks ago, they got their first paychecks. And we took pictures of that, and the smiles on their faces is priceless. And we couldn't do anything more than ask them to have that happen on a regular basis. So I'm going to let Chanel tell you a little bit more about our actual business.
Yep. So part of our process is that we run a portfolio of small businesses. We hope to have up to 4 by the end of next year. And another thing is that we employ the full spectrum, so not just the high-functioning individuals, but even nonverbal individuals or people with physical disabilities and behaviors. Our businesses are real businesses. We have a profit and loss, and we expect to break even after the first couple of years and hopefully make a profit. We leverage the strengths of the individuals. So when we decide to build a new business, it's based around the skills of our employees. And all of our businesses pay at least minimum wage, if not more, per hour. And the 2 businesses that we've started so far is the wash and fold laundry service, and some of the tasks include sorting laundry and folding, but also delivering the laundry back to the customer. And then, of course, the dog walking service, which our employees go to the customer's house and pick up the dog. And so if you live in Sonoma and you're looking for someone to do your laundry or walk your dog, please contact us. And then here's a couple more ideas of businesses that we're thinking about launching in the upcoming year. But if anyone has any ideas, again, feel free to contact us. And yeah, we hold our employees to a very high standard, just like anyone else when they go to work. They're expected to be on time and work appropriately. Yeah, and we're currently hiring for a business manager. Like Mark mentioned, we hire young entrepreneurs with a business background. So if anyone knows anyone, please look on our website. The job posting is there.
Just 10 seconds. You're probably a lot looking at us saying, like, well, how do these people come to work if they're low functioning, or sorry to use that word. But the employees either come if they have the ability to work by themselves with our support, or they do access employment services through either the Department of Rehab or the Department of Labor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we now have Kristen Pedersen and Glenn Mantola from the ARC of San Francisco?
Good morning. My name is Dr. Glenn Matola. I'm the CEO of the ARC San Francisco. I'm also the parent of a 16-year-old with developmental disabilities. I just want to, for a second, kind of fly up to about 75,000 feet and ask you a question. You don't have to put your hand up. I think I know the answer. But how many people in this room dreamed of going to a day services program when they left high school? Based on that response. I wonder why we are trying to rebuild the printing press here to do 21st century work. At the organization that I run in San Francisco, we have over 800 people, and I also spend a lot of time obviously talking with them, but with my own child as well. And when you talk to individuals with autism or developmental disabilities and ask them about their dreams, it does not include going to a day program or social services program. So I think we might be on the wrong path. I think we are trying to refix something which is dead long ago, has died, and actually smells really bad. And I think we need to rethink this whole paradigm. So I said to my staff a couple of years ago, because I'm in the system, right? I can disparage the system, but I am part of it. I am one of the larger parts of it, but I am in it and part of it. I said to my staff a couple of years ago, I said, I want to lose the entire thinking about being a social service program. I don't want to think about it like that anymore. Let's think differently. And so 2 years ago, we challenged our own thinking, and with no additional resources, I'm going to have Kristen talk to you about the results that we got.
Hi there, my name is Kristen Pedersen. I'm the Director of Employment and Education Programming at the ARC. So as Glenn had mentioned, about 2 years ago, we really took the time to think about, are we developing the right jobs? We've been doing supported employment for over 30 years. We had historically, like a lot of service providers, I'm sure have felt this way, once we got a job, really encouraged our clients to stay in that job forever and never leave, because that job was so hard to get. And we really looked at that 2 years ago and started talking to our clients about what they want to be doing. Do they want to grow? If they weren't having those conversations in school, which many of you guys have mentioned they weren't having, or they didn't have a transition program that really prepared them, they didn't have the skill set to even know how to have those steps towards a larger goal. Or they didn't have the skill set and support to know, I can go back to school. And we all know that with more education, you tend to earn more money and have a higher level job. So we started having these discussions, really pairing it with workplace immersion internships. We have 2 programs in San Francisco currently at Pacific Gas and Electric and California Academy of Sciences. We serve people with all different kinds of intellectual and developmental disabilities. I would say about 1/3 of the participants in each of those programs are on the autism spectrum. And one of the takeaways for me is one size does not fit all. However, I don't know that we need to be creating these kind of bubble programs and bubble internships where they're only serving a specific disability. Because what we find in our programs is having someone that might struggle more with their social pragmatics but have a lot of academic strength, and you pair them with somebody who has great social skills but struggles academically, that's a really beautiful pairing. And that is what integration looks like. And that's what our employers are looking for as we're helping them produce a more diverse and inclusive workforce. So just to give you guys an idea, over the last 24 months, we placed 120 people in jobs. These are all individual placements, none of them are groups. We do no sub-minimum wage. It was a 40% increase in job development. We didn't hire any more staff, and we obviously didn't get any more money. We have 20% increase in people working full-time. Parents, educate yourselves about Social Security. Educate yourselves about Ticket to Work. I know that you have all advocated for a very long time to get your kids the supports that they need, but one of the continual barriers we're seeing is someone is getting offered a 40-hour position and mom and dad are saying no because they don't want them to lose Social Security. And I understand that. There are safety net programs. There are things that you can set up so that your kids can still access Medicare, so that if maybe they don't succeed in that job, like many of us did not in our first jobs, they can come back. But I really do encourage you to think about your child as someone who is working full-time and not in the same job for the rest of their life. I was a barista. I am no longer a barista. We all grew up. So I want us to continue to think about that for our clients. And one little kind of fun financial fact that we like to talk about with our donors and with our funders is that in the last 2 years, our clients have earned over $4 million of taxable income. They are paying into these coffers. So we need to see that coming back. We've had 15% of our guys come off of public benefits altogether. They're paying taxes, and we need to see that coming back to us. To give you kind of a high level, we have very flexible supports. We provide one-to-one job coaching. Ooh, I just got the bell. And work with lots of different corporate partners. We work here in San Mateo as well as in San Francisco and Marin. If you guys have any questions about what we're doing or how we've done it, please talk to Glenn or I. But I will leave on saying our corporate partners are really ready to employ this population. They don't know how. So we need to give them the tools to know how instead of telling them that they're not doing it. They know they're not doing it. So if you guys have any questions, I encourage you to speak with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen and Glenn. Tom Hines, East Bay Innovations.
Hi, I'm Tom Hines. I'm fighting a cold a little bit. I'm the executive director of East Bay Innovations. We're a nonprofit. Been around since 1994. We started as a supported living agency and then started independent living services. So we started as an agency helping people live on their own. And it's hard to live in the East Bay when your income is just SSI, so people that we were serving really wanted us to start a supported employment service. And I had some experience doing that with an agency before EBI. So we started supported employment in 1999. We had lots of success in placing folks in retail environments, grocery environments, food service environments, the typical situations. We had some group placements. We never did any sub-minimum wage placements, but about 7 or 8 years ago, we became frustrated that the sectors that we were placing people in were not for everybody, and oftentimes they were jobs that were entry-level jobs that didn't have a career path. Back when supported employment was started, many of you may not know this, but it was sort of in reaction to programs that trained people for jobs for a long time, and then there was never a job at the end of the training, so people kept working in these training programs. So supported employment, when it started, we were trained to place people in jobs, understand their desires for employment and their needs for support, but place them in a job and then train them at the job. And what that did really was led to a lot of folks in entry-level jobs where the employment really wasn't that stable. So in 2007, we visited Seattle, and Seattle kind of blew our minds because Kings County had had a program for several years where they had an initiative to hire people with developmental disabilities as county employees. And we were fascinated by that because we were talking to Alameda County about hiring people with developmental disabilities for a couple of years. But what happened in Seattle is we wanted to talk about public sector jobs, and they kept on talking about this thing called Project Search, and we thought, what is this, like American Idol? What is this Project Search thing? And we understood about Project Search, which is a model that is based on internships. There's an educational component. It's a year-long program where 10 to 12 people with developmental disabilities go through internships in a large host employer for a year. And they exit, and then hopefully they're hired by the host employer, or they go into job development and they're hired someplace else. So we started a Project Search program at Children's Hospital in 2008 in Oakland, and then one with the County of Alameda offices in 2009. We've had really good outcomes. We have an 80% placement rate of folks who exit Project Search an average starting wage of about $14 an hour, which with minimum wage increasing doesn't sound that good, that great anymore. But and about 70% of the people we serve have employer-based health benefits. People exit Project Search, and if they don't have a job already, if they're not hired by the host employer, then we use tailored day services to keep them connected to the job search and to keep them active and thinking about what they want to do and working on soft skills, just keeping them engaged. And then we use supported employment. Yes, we actually do supported employment, individual placement services. The rate for job coaching for individual placement, supported employment, didn't change for 20 years, and then it got an increase, and then 2009 got a 10% decrease in funding, and that's the only service in the developmental disability service system where the cut has not been restored, which is outrageous. There's an employment first policy in California. We just got a bill passed, SB 644, which is going to have an impact on helping people be considered for state employment. But that job coaching rate has to change. It's a very important tool, and it's a reasonable accommodation for people with intellectual disabilities to be able to be employed. And that's it with the bell.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Tracy Fetcher. I'm the Vice President of Programs at Community Gate Path. So just a quick look at what we do. We serve from birth through adult, and we do have a recreation program for individuals on the spectrum. There's a flyer in the back if you're interested in that.
Hi, I'm Eileen Easterbrook. I'm Program Manager at Community Gate Path. At Community Gate Path, we understand that work is a fundamental adult activity. It's fundamental to how we see ourselves, whether we work for pay or unpaid volunteer work. It gives us a sense of purpose and shapes who we are. And we definitely support employment first for all those individuals wanting to work. At Community Gate Path, we have different levels and types of employment opportunities depending on the support the individual needs. People requiring the least amount of support get individual placements. That is funded by the Department of Rehabilitation. So if you're wondering, parents, when your son or daughter graduates or ages out of transition programs, if you want them to work, you'll need to open a case with Department of Rehabilitation. And we've been fairly successful in that. If you see out of 300 hires over the last 4 years, 20% of those are people with autism. Now, not everybody comes out and is ready, interested, or wanting to go to work or can function at that level immediately. So we also have a more structured environment, and that is our group placements. It's a structured, supportive step where there are 4 individuals that work at a site. It could be Electronic Arts, the Marriott, those types of sites, and that is funded by the Regional Center. I want to say that working with employers to hire people with disabilities really requires job developers with sales and marketing skills. This is really different historically from what social service agencies provide. A lot of social workers and a lot of people that want to do really good work with sociology, psychology, rehabilitation backgrounds, but not a lot of business backgrounds. And it is important for an agency to have sales and marketing capabilities if they're going to talk to large employers or any employer, and that they speak to the benefits of hiring people with developmental disabilities. So we actually received a grant recently from the State Council on Disabilities to develop a training for other agencies and teach them how to make the business case, which is so important, making a business case, not a social service case to employers in order to get our individuals hired. How our individuals help lower turnover and increase profits. Now this slide talks a little bit about a grant that we had to specifically focus on individuals, young adults on the autism spectrum. And to see what we would learn from this. This was an ARA grant about 5 years ago, and what we found, and I'm sure no surprise to you, it takes intensive, sustained outreach to find employers to hire someone with autism. In fact, we placed and we tracked the data on this. There were over 3,000 contacts made, emails, phone calls, meetings, in order to place 16 individuals in individual placement. What that means is this is very difficult for service providers to sustain that kind of effort, because you can place as a job developer one person with carpal tunnel syndrome and a college degree in employment background for the same price, so the same fee you get from the Department of Rehabilitation to place somebody with autism or a developmental disability. And that's why we don't see a lot of job developers and job development agencies. It's really hard to sustain that. So while we're advocating for housing and increased funding for schooling and the other parts of the system, we really have to talk with government in regards to funding the Employment First initiative that they passed and they approved a year and a half ago. Additional things we learned was, of course, the strategic use of visual cues, social stories, collaboration with families. It needs to be a lot of collaboration between families. Get involved with your service provider, not in an antagonistic way. This isn't fighting for your rights in special education, but in a cooperative way in terms of how are we going to move your young adult forward in terms of employment. And one thing that's very important is the very thorough discovery process. And the reason I want to speak to that is it's very difficult for a job developer to place somebody successfully when they have a developmental disability and autism without knowing their strengths, weaknesses, idiosyncrasies, and triggers. And the only way, or the best way, is to spend a lot of time with that individual. And you spend that time with the individual by having your sons and daughters a part of a program that maybe the service provider offers. And there's a full range from day programs that you've heard about, but we have a couple of new programs that we're very pleased of, and that's a College Path, where individuals can pursue college, whether it's academic or adaptive courses, with one staff person for 4 individuals up at a community college. We have Career Path, where individuals are taught how to prepare themselves for employment. And then we have additional, more traditional vocational programs.
So I have 1 minute, so what I'm going to say about this is I'm going to tell you a little bit about our community-based program. That's the 1-to-4 ratio program that you've been hearing people talk about today. We have a group of parents that their children all aged out of the school system at the same time in South San Francisco, and they formed a community group together, and those parents are very involved in the pre-vocational and recreational activities that their children do. So that's one idea for you, is if you have other parents in your network, maybe you can band together and go to an agency and try to put together a program for your child. Everything that we do is employment and inclusion focused, and we are, one of the things I wanted to mention is pre-vocational volunteer activities. Random Act of Flowers is a wonderful organization in Menlo Park, and we have groups there taking flowers from Trader Joe's, et cetera, and repurposing them for hospitals, assisted living facilities. Could you imagine some of the people that we serve, some of your children, actually working in a florist? You know, that's a different volunteer opportunity than maybe stocking and hanging clothing at the Goodwill. So, thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Austin Osuch, and I am a team member at the Bowden Group. The Bowden Group is an educational and therapeutic consulting firm based out of Los Altos, California. And what we do is we go around and visit and evaluate different programs and provide families with the knowledge and information they need for the best success for their children going forward. I was actually a client of the Bowden Group, so I went to a wilderness program in a therapeutic boarding school, and since then have gone off to graduate college. And after graduating college, I wanted to come back and help and create a program that was going to give the kids the skills and the resources they need to be successful on their own moving forward. So I created the mentoring program. The mentoring program I started about 9 months ago, and since then we've worked with over 30 kids, some of which who are on the autism spectrum. The mentors that I've hired and that I've brought on my team are individuals who have thrived in the tech community or have a background in psychology, but they're also young and close to the student's age, so they're able to connect with the student on a personal level. What we do is we help students become independent adults, help them with job placement, writing resumes, professionalism, soft skills, social skills. And our approach is really unique because it's hands-on, and we'll go with the student out to go turn in an application or go out with them socially, take them to a Giants game, go to a meetup, and all that kind of stuff. If you guys have any other questions, I will be hanging out during the lunchtime and be happy to answer. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Austin.